Okay guys, in the last video I showed how to connect to the database and how to create a table in a GORM. You probably have to have a table like that, ID, weight and name for athlete division. And if your table have different, delete your table and make your table again with a GORM. At the beginning, I want to insert some data into the divisions. So we have a real data on our database, as you can see, for fly weight, straw weight, and feather weight. And of course, after that, we want to insert some fighters into our table. I put these queries inside project from public fighters. Select. We have 3 fighters for now: Armen, Ilya, and Charles. I put these queries inside queries folder. Make sure your table are the same as my table. If it's not the same table, create your table again and or check your queries. Or if you have a question, ask me in my private. I have Telegram. I put it on somewhere you can see, and also in my LinkedIn you can DM me if you have a problem. And after we make sure we have all those tables and data inside our database, we can work with our project with data. Inside my handler and in a getFighter, instead of reading with fighter from the JSON file, I want to pass our database inside this extract and read the data from database instead of reading from file. The first thing we have to do in here is that passing our DB inside our handler. Inside our handler, we can pass now our DB. The type of our DB is pointer to GORM DB. Inside here, we need to say DB is pointer to GORM.db. That's been our connection to the database. Instead of arrow utils, we need to pass everything inside here and say fh dot db is equal to db. We can see lists of queries inside this website. For example, if we want a user, we can define a user variable and get a first user. Let's pay attention to that. In the get fighters, instead of reading from the JSON file, I want to have a fighter. If we define a fighter and just say variable fighter from entities dot fighter, this line of code means just one fighter because we said it's a fighter, but for here we need all the fighter, so we put a S in here because it's a plural and we want to everybody know that this is a list of fighters, so we put a S in here. It's a grammatically correct. Let's say it's an array. In the encode function, I just paste my fighters instead of h.fighter because this is a fighters we read from the JSON file. We don't need that anymore. So we just put our fighter, and just after this line, I have to fill my array from database. So in here, call our DB dot find and pass my variable. But before your variable, make sure you pass it with ampersand because we want to pass our pointer. So don't forget to put this line of code in here. If after I run my code, the result shows that this list is read from database now. As you can see in here, I have the same query and it's the same data as this page. Another function I want to read the data from database is getFighter. In this function now we read our data from database, but if I go in the fighter and get something like 1, is still read that data from my JSON file. So instead of reading from JSON file, I come in here and first I need to make my variable. We don't need this line anymore. Just in here say what I'm doing, h.db.firstFighter and num id. Maybe it works, but let's remove for now num id because I don't need that line for now. In here say true and just return our fighter. If I run that again, as you can see, it's not matter what kind of ID I enter in here. It's always return the first one. Even if it's not exist. For that problem, I want to just read one query and say, let's go in here. When I enter something like 21, I want to say just ID is equal to number 1 or number 26. I need this line of code. This is my condition where ID is equal to 21. I can add more condition, but just in this line of condition, and I will put that inside before the first. I write a condition where ID is equal to 1 question mark and just I need my ID. And for here, say result is equal to, and check if my results don't have any error, I can parse my data. If I go on here, as you can see, 26 is not exist. Yes, probably I'm looking for 21, and 21 is Armin, 22 is Ilya, and 23 is, it's have to be a Charles. Thank you for watching.